Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 6 of the Polished Lifestyle TV. Our special guest tonight is Miss Georgina Sarpong, who is an innovative chef, urban and local food agriculturist expert. Okay, I got it all. I got it all out. I'm so excited to have her here. Georgina is actually an old family member and friend, and I'm so excited to share this space with her tonight. Before we get started, Georgina, just say hi.
Hi everyone. Thank you for
Thank you,
having
thank
me.
you, thank you for being here. If you're just tuning in to us for the first time, the Polished Lifestyle TV was created to showcase and celebrate women who are leading and shining bright in their life. And I especially showcase women of color because you can't be who you don't see. I want women of color around the world to understand that there's women leading and shining bright in all areas of their life from different walks of life. So I created this platform to make sure that our women are being celebrated and showcased. So welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Sterling Clinton Spellman. I am the CEO of Polished, and I teach women how to lead and shine bright in their life. And that's where the whole Polished Lifestyle TV comes from. One of the things that I'm so super excited is just about 8 weeks ago, I quit my job to follow my dreams of doing this exact thing. So this platform is for you, and I'm so excited for you to be here. So tonight, let me introduce you to our guest. Our guest is Chef Georgina. She grew up and is a current resident of Providence, Rhode Island. She has always had a passion for food. After attending Johnson& and Wales University, she spent a few years working for fast-paced restaurants and catering businesses, earning her stripe to become an executive chef. She developed and led she has developed and led new projects for more innovative, creative, and healthy eating styles with her past employment and community. She is a firm believer in health and local eating in all neighborhoods. She strives to build the connection between the cook and the farm. Welcome, Georgina.
Yes. Thank you all for having me here. Um, and thank you, Sterling. I'm so happy that you took that leap of faith, and it seemed like it's going so well. We support you. We trust in you. We just know you're doing an excellent job. So I'm really honored and excited at the same time. And because I know you, it's just that much special. So thank
Oh, thank you, Georgina. Thank you so much. So, Georgina, tell us a little bit. So, I read your bio, but tell us a little bit about yourself and something you want us to know.
Well, and my bio says it all, but interesting enough, um, coming into where I'm at now and where I'm going, this was not planned. Let me start off that way. This was totally not planned. In my mind, since I was a kid, I knew I was going to be this top executive somebody, um, working for some type of firm, business firm or law firm. Or I wanted to be in foreign service, traveling the world, very executive and posh, and that type of life. Went to school at URI first before transferring to Johnson& and Wales for business and political science. My family has a strong history of being in the foreign service, ambassadors, things like that. So that's what I knew. That's what I thought I wanted to do, and I wanted to travel. Long story short, God said that's not the plan. So therefore, I was switching to a whole new direction off of watching one show of Rachel Ray. And I was a strong Rachel Ray fan back then, when no one even knew who she was. But I watched it on my downtime to do my homework and things like that. And then also while attending URI, University of Rhode Island, that's what URI is, we used to plan a lot of parties and gatherings, and I enjoyed the fact of people coming together. So that was like my first step. You always need like these little signs to put you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So the first sign for me was I love to congregate with people, bring the hospitality in the room, make everyone feel comfortable either through parties, events, or shows, or whatever that could be. So then I was like, okay, maybe what I'm going to school for, I might have to relook at that. Um, Long story short, my blessing came into my life of having my daughter, who's now 8, Miss Jade. Um, and it was actually her father that was like, I think you're in school for the wrong thing. You need to reevaluate. And finally, I did, and like it didn't convince me when I went to Johnsonville for an orientation that my heart sinked in. You just know, when your heart feels like this is where I'm supposed to be, or this is your next step. And then I jumped, like switched, like in my last year of school, like I legit switched out of everything.
I love it. I love it.
And that was the end of that. When I went to tell my parents what I was doing, my mom is a firm believer, be the best that you can be in what you're doing. So if it's going to take you 100 years, fine, but just be the best at it. Yeah. My father, on the other hand, he's more strict. He's like, so you want to be a cook? That's what you're telling me. And I'm like, yeah, if that's how you look at it, that's what I want to do. That's what my heart is. And he's like, okay. So he wasn't too sure, but he still kind of supported me. And I never looked back since. And so from that, and just like a quick talking about knowing your next step or knowing the feeling, when I was in school, it was time for me to look for my internship. Now I'm going to all these law offices, knocking on their door, rating the UN, no response. I mean, I had the grades, I had all of the qualifications. No one is even looking at me, like at all. Once I switched over to Johnsonville, once I got into like my first year, I was invited to come and cook and lead projects for the mayor. So you go from like going to the mayor's door, the Secretary of State's door, asking for an internship in, policy and law. They don't even look at your resume. They didn't even look at your face when you handed in your application. But then a year later, when you make a drastic decision, you're back in the same circle doing something a little different on another caliber. And now they're looking at you. So that's when I was like, I'm on to something. And then from that, I just knew that with God and, head to toe, once I feel it and I saw it, I'm going to go for it. And that's how all my steps been.
Georgina, it's almost like, I don't know if you've seen the other episodes or if you knew, but I didn't even have a chance to ask you the question and you already answered it. And the question was, how did you decide to lead your life and not pay attention to other people's opinions? And you answered it right there. And it's so funny because our guest last week, who happens to be my sister, Elkie,
yeah,
she said the same thing. But she made the decision to say, you know what, I want to try something new. And first it was, let me look for a job in the same field she was doing, right? And she kept looking for a job. This girl is super qualified, no answer. The minute she decided to say, you know what, maybe I'm not supposed to be looking for a job. Maybe I'm supposed to go and create my own right now. I'm supposed to be going down another path. Everything started to align with what she wanted, and doors started to open for her. So for the guests out there, I hope you all are seeing a thread and hearing a thread. When you make that decision that, you know what, this seems right, the alignment, right?
Yeah.
This is something I'm supposed to do. What ends up happening is doors and opportunities will open for you. This is why I encourage people to lead in your life and don't listen to other people. Georgina's father wasn't sure, and I know her father, he could be a little stern, right? We know our African fathers, they could be like, that's not what you're supposed to do. And just by them saying that, not even them going in on us, makes us feel nervous and scared, and we listen to the and we stop.
Yeah.
So Georgina, tell me, I want you to go a little bit more into detail about the feeling, because the question was, so tell us about a time when you didn't feel like you were leading in your life, like you felt like you were leading someone else's life, like you were living for other people's opinions and their thoughts about what you should be.
Oh my gosh. So again, like, I said, going to school for what I was going to school for, and joining the law, this, and the foreign service, that. It just didn't make sense, like every semester I'm coming home. Mind you, the classes that I was taking are very easy class. Well, it came easy to me.
Yeah.
But I can't pass the class. And I could not pass the class. Like, all I had to do was show up, you know what I mean? And write papers about war and all this stuff that I knew I definitely have the ability to do. It wasn't an interest. And usually I'm good, like disciplined enough where if something's not an interest, I would still do it anyway because you need to get to the next step, X, Y, and Z. But it just was not working out. And then looking at my circle of friends, everyone is on the traditional path of doing what they're supposed to do, going to school, soaring, so on and so on and so forth. But I didn't feel that within me. Like that was not what I wanted to do. Like, yes, maybe completing school, but in something that I wanted to do. So even if it was, if my culinary program honestly was like a 3-month program, I would have done that and been as happy as all can be. You know what I mean? Because that's what I wanted to do. So the time where I really felt low in the sense of I'm not in the right spot and I needed to make a decision like tomorrow or today was when I was 8 months pregnant. And that is supposed to be like the happiest time. Yeah, maybe you can't sleep, things like that. But your bundle of joy is coming into the world. So you should be gearing up to be as happy as you could be. And I was happy that I was going to be a mom and that was going to be a great change. But something else was just missing. Like it wasn't, I wasn't accepting because in my mind, honestly, I was still going to school. I was pregnant, like
Yeah.
as going into this field, and I was miserable. And then the night before I had Jade, I was just crying, and not because of contractions. It was really like I don't want to go back to this when I have a baby.
You
And
weren't in your purpose. You weren't living in your purpose.
yeah.
So you were feeling it.
And so I had my daughter, and literally when it was time for me to go back to school, work, things like that, I didn't go back to school. Like I withdrew myself out of URI. Then I had to wait a couple of months, kind of figure out, really start making conscious decisions, started listening to myself. So I think when I became a mom, I started listening to myself. And for some people who do not have children, you don't need children to make you listen to yourself. You just need to listen
That's how.
It's just that it happened that way for me. And when I started listening to myself, I started listening to myself more because now I'm obligated to take care of someone. And when my daughter gets older, I want her to listen to her best self. I don't want to put her in a bubble to make her feel that she has to go through this traditional way or non-traditional way of doing things. I wanted to make sure it comes from in her that she learns how to be in line with herself from the beginning of age. And coming from the families that we come from is more tradition, not alignment. And that's where the battle begins. You know what I mean? Because like Sterling said, once you hear certain or see certain body language, you hear certain size, you don't even like push the conversation further than what you already said. You kind of just shut your mouth, go back into doing what they asked you to do, and that's it. You want to make everybody proud and you want to make everybody happy. And in my case, if I can't make myself happy, then I definitely can't make you happy. And if I couldn't make myself happy, I couldn't make my daughter happy. So I had to be in line with myself and listen to myself. So I think that's where I had to make a decision.
Absolutely. And for the listeners and the viewers, I hope you all are hearing something. A lot of times as a parent, and this is for the parents out there, and maybe I'll even say spouses or siblings, older siblings, but we have to remember that our voice, our body language becomes the inner thoughts and the inner conscious of our children and of our siblings and spouses, okay? So I'm the youngest of my family, so yes, what my brothers and sisters say do matter to me, okay? What my parents say about certain things matter to me, even if they're saying it to me indirectly. And so, and that could be, when I say indirectly, it means like we're at a function or whatever, and you hear the conversation about other people's kids and how proud they are of other people's kids, and you never hear them say they're proud of you. And even though that wasn't the case for me with my parents, but I'm just thinking about, certain situations. Right. Oh, look at so-and-so daughter, she's a doctor now doing this. Look at so-and-so, she's a lawyer, or she's traveling the world. And you're sitting there like, but that's not what I want to do. And
But
even though they're not hurt, they're not saying it to you like, oh Georgina, oh Sterling, you are not so so and so. They're hearing it. And
mm-hmm.
so my sister was she just did a scope this morning, I think, where she was talking about how it's so important for you to speak life over your children and speak positivity, but also encourage them to be who they are. Because I know so many people are wishing their kids are the next Michael Jordan, so they're forcing them into all these sports. Where really the kid is a musician. Really the kid wants to go and dance or go and play the piano. But we're forcing them down this path because we think, I wanted to do that and I didn't get to do it, so this kid needs to do it. But
Right.
I love that, Georgina, how you said when you became a parent, you really started paying attention to what you felt and the role that you wanted you to play for your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
not in having her be you, but in having her be the best version of herself by you being the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, love it, love it. Um, so can you please tell us currently how do you lead and shine bright in your life? And let me tell you what I mean. So for me, leading in your life is living on your terms, doing the thing that you want to do for you. And the shining bright part is being the best version of yourself. How are you the best version of yourself? How do you feel the most alive? When do you feel the most alive when you're doing what? So those are the two things. How do you lead and shine bright in your life currently through your job, through being a mother, through whatever it is you want to talk to us about?
Um, how do I lead? One thing I've learned and continue to learn is that I don't go against I don't go with the grid, if that even makes sense. A lot of my decisions have been very internal. So I haven't what am I trying to say? Like a lot of my decisions I've just been doing, like what I felt. And most of the time it's not what everybody else is doing. But in a few years looking back in, people they applaud it, if that makes sense. Hello? Hello?
The computer just completely cut off.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
You see, right in the midst of the good part. All right, so let me see where we were. I think I was asking you, how do you lead and shine bright in your life?
Yes. So for leading, I really listen to my gut, and I am learning even more about my intuition and my gut as I get older as a woman, especially with job. Now, depending on where you work and what you do, you try to separate emotions
Yes.
from, your job or what needs to be done. And I'm learning that as well, but I still listen to my gut. Not everything is like textbook and textural. Sometimes you just got to listen to what's in your stomach. And I found that, yeah, I made some mistakes in listening to my gut, but I was supposed to make those mistakes so I can see something else, so I can be a stronger leader in what I'm supposed to lead. Um,
Can I say something real quick? I love what you just said. I pray God I always remember to instill that in my daughter, that a mistake you make is a lesson, or like failure is a lesson. And so when you think about it that way, you never lose, because you win or you learn a lesson.
right. Right. And one thing I do with my daughter now is when she makes a mistake, and because kids, when they get older, they get really hard on themselves, like, oh, I'm not making my parents proud and things like that. When she makes mistakes, we dance. Like, I put the music on, we cut it, we dab, whatever it is that they want to do nowadays. Um, and we sing to her mistake. Like, I broke a glass, cut it. Like, I broke a glass, and now we turn into a joke. Because it's like, you're gonna make these mistakes. Like, life is a whole bunch of mistakes where it builds your experience. So I can't sit there and hound you on a basic mistake that you're supposed to make so you can learn. You know what I mean? So and that's one thing I do appreciate in the field that I'm in. You're encouraged to make mistakes because that's how you perfect your craft.
Yes.
And shining, what makes me shine when I feel like I'm like in my glory is honestly when people eat my food.
Yeah.
When people eat my food, or when I'm cooking and I have that perfect jazz melody going and I'm just like into my creative being. And then after serving it and seeing people like enjoyment of it, I feel like I'm shining. Like I feel it. Like I feel it in my soul. So that's what, makes
Absolutely.
me.
And so in the line, I love that you say you celebrate or you dance when she makes a mistake. I'm thinking about a quote. I keep saying that, and I can't remember what village it's from, but they said in a tribe in some part of Africa, when the people make a mistake, the village people come around the person and they tell them all the things they love about them. Every time I read it, I'm just like, oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how amazing this world would be if more people did that? How successful many of us will be because we did that. Because what's happening is we stop ourselves from leading in our life because we're afraid of that mistake we're going to make, because we feel like the world is going to be so mad at us, or we're going to be so down on ourselves.
Right.
So we stop ourselves from making mistakes. And it's the same thing. I just read the lady from Spanx, and I can't remember her name. She's the creator.
Oh, yeah.
She was saying that her father, for us to look at failure in a different way. And she said their father, when they used to make good grades or whatever, the father said, oh, you think you're perfect? I want to see the bad grade you made, because that means you have room to improve. And
Right.
so it's like, it's just really not even tricking your mind, but reconditioning, reprogramming your mind to understand that failure isn't a bad thing. Mistakes are a bad thing. That it actually sets us up to really lead the way we're supposed to lead in our life.
Exactly.
And it allows for us to do it for other people. You know what I mean? Because when other people see that, they're like, okay, this person's a human.
That is so true. I know a few of my staff, like, they get so nervous, like, oh my God, I did this. Oh, I made a mistake like that. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're going to make many more mistakes. But guess what? When you make these mistakes, you're learning from them, even though you can't pinpoint what you just learned. But when it comes in full circle again, you're going to be able to do the job to the best that you know how to do it. So even today, being out at the market, there was one of my other staff folks, they made like a huge mistake, and he just thought he was gonna nut down and die. And I'm just like, no, like, it's okay. Like, you're supposed to make these mistakes. You know what I mean? How are you going to grow in your profession or grow as a person if you don't make these mistakes? Now, I asked him, I said, what did you learn from this mistake? Oh, I should have never did X, Y, and Z. Exactly. So you already passed this test of the day.
Yeah.
This was your test of today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not what you did, it's how you handled it and what you got out of it. And now he's like, oh, okay. You know, it's like mistakes are welcomed. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. And I think this relates really well to food. And I'm not really a chef, but I
Mhm.
do cook. My husband's a chef, but I'm a
Mhm.
baker. And I think about all the time, I say to Russ, I'm like, how do people come up with the ingredients for a cake, right? It's because they made multiple mistakes.
Yep.
They made multiple mistakes, and that's how they came together and said, oh, egg and flour go together to make this.
Yep.
You put a little bit of baking soda, the cake will be flatter, or if you put too much, it'll be bigger. Or if you,
Right.
so it really, like, I think it's so interesting how it really relates to food. I want you to talk a little bit more about the work you do in the community as an expert, an agriculturist expert, and as a chef. Tell us a local food chef. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, you know, as in my bio, yes, I went to school for it and I worked for different companies and local businesses and things like that, learned more technical skills and so on and so forth. And then I started catering on my own, had a small catering company where I did weddings and birthday parties and all that good stuff. But I needed something that would be more creative for me. And then through one of my experience, that's when I started diving in more into the local side, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I like to be creative, but I wanted to go deeper. Like, okay, I'm using this carrot. Where is this carrot from? Again, where our families are from, everything has always been natural. So it was already installed in me to want to think in my mind, okay, where's this carrot from? Coming from what garden? What farm? Who's the farm? And let me meet them, you know, and then that's how I kind of started drifting off into that path. My last employment before stepping out on that to do other things was working for a Jewish facility for 4.5 years. And for those of us that know in that culture, everything is kosher. It has to be super fresh. You have to know the origin of where these foods are coming from. Besides the blessings and the rituals that happen in the food, you really just need to pay attention. And I was the executive chef in that kitchen, so I was always talking to the rabbis of where this broccoli was coming from and why today they're not eating broccoli because they didn't know where it was coming from. Is this kosher? Is this not kosher? Where is this coming from? They had like gardens upon gardens where they grew their own food and we picked it and cooked it and we served it and we maintained the garden and we did all these things. And now me coming from a fast-paced kitchens and catering companies, it was a little different for me, but it wasn't unnatural for me. So I just kind of jumped right into the scene. You know what I mean? Um, it was it was just natural. Let's see. Then how I became an urban agriculture specialist. Pretty much, I started working for Farm Fresh Rhode Island, which they are a food hub in Rhode Island, and strong leaders in the New England area, and they cover a lot of different what you call it, like a lot of different areas in the food industry, from distribution to farmers markets, consumer to consumer, things like that, and we do so much for a small team. So there's like legit a team of 30 and we do work of 100 men. You know what I mean? So you wear so many multiple hats, so you have no choice but to become a specialist in what you do. So there was a lot of reading that was happening, a lot of farm visiting, which we still do. Like I said, working in kitchens and stuff. You go to gardens and stuff, but I didn't. Once I transferred over onto the agriculture side, that's when I started visiting farms, interviewing farmers, really getting into the grain, knowing what a rutabaga looked like. If I can point at soil and be like, oh, rutabaga grew there this past season. But that's all because of working with different farmers that teach you these things hands on. So I really started getting into it. But on the urban side, um, again, being from where I'm from, I noticed that our folks were not like getting as in depth and involved in eating local food, or I mean they were, but they're not. And a lot of women of color, especially coming from like West African, Latino, Southeast Asian backgrounds, there was only a very small percentage that were actively participating in growing and selling and making an impact on economic development. So that's when I started getting involved in urban agriculture. What does that really look like? Like, who's really a part of this? And why don't we have certain people at the table? And right now, we're actually doing a research. My friend, also organization partner Michelle, and I, on Black or minority farmers in New England. And guess what? The state that has the most of them is Massachusetts, and I think right now is an average of 120, 120. Now, mind you, in the region, there's more than 1,000 or 2,000 farmers in general, and there's a very, 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 very small percentage of minority farmers, not growers, but farmers, and they're all en masse. Rhode Island has none. None.
And you
And
know
so,
what's so crazy? Rhode Island has the largest, and I wish I knew the numbers. We have so many countries represented here.
mhm.
I think there's like over 200 and something countries represented here in Rhode Island, and many of those people are from their country. They are farmers. They are people who grew their own food and lived. If something happened that it's almost like they forgot, or just like I'm trying to look for the word. It's like they forgot that part of their life, and they're not farming anymore, and therefore now and this is why disease and sickness is going up in those populations. But then I thought about it the other day, and I said, unfortunately, many of those immigrants are not homeowners or landowners, so therefore they can't grow. So there's an economic like
Yeah.
disparity here that when I tell people, like, and you remember the conversation we were having just Friday at the Chocolate Milk Cafe, I was saying, the the way that we're going to be able to grow economically as a people is that we have to own our own stuff. We have to own our own stuff. We have to own our own businesses. We have to own our own land, because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, there's so many immigrant families here in Rhode Island, right? People of color from all walks of life, where in those countries they were farmers. They own their own land to grow. But when they come here, it's almost like they forget. And then the other piece is they don't have the property.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because a lot of people that come from different countries here, or live, or that lived here all their life, they try to forget that world because they felt taken advantage of, abused, or in other countries, the central marketplace is the way of living. You're not making, like, some days you'll have a high day, and many days you'll have a low day. So coming to the U.S., knowing that you have a 9 to 5 and you're gonna make that same amount of money no matter what, and God forbid if you have overtime, like,
Uh,
you have money coming in the door, and way more money than what you was making in that country. And if you've been a person that lived here generation after generation, um, and your family was a farmer or was a slave or whatever that may be, you try to forget. You don't want to have that stereotype upon you. You try to, you know, do something else, knowing that, and it looks bad to you. So that's what we've been finding out too, and doing informal surveys, and we'll continue to do more data collection and things like that to find out the informal, like, I guess, quantitative type of information, like how many people are answering, why are they answering these questions, what are the emotional disconnect to this, and then the qualitative, like how many are actually interested if they had the opportunity at heart, and how much land and acres are available, like the nitty gritty of the things,
yes.
and working with the state on figuring that out as well, and how we can get more support in that and moving forward when we put this assessment together. So,
Absolutely.
and that's it, because a lot of people think of culinary and agriculture like, it's, yeah, food comes out the ground and then you sell it, but
Yeah.
it's actually a huge economic driver. It's like
Oh yeah.
more people invest within their own businesses in the state, they're keeping the money in the state. You know what I mean? So you invest with your farmer, you're keeping that dollar within your state, and it's not going out for an export. You know what I mean?
And not for nothing, you actually know what you're eating. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? One of the days when we went to Jamaica for our honeymoon, and I wanted okra and saltfish, and I love my okra and saltfish business. And the chef in the resort said, "We don't have okra now." I was like, "Why?" He was like, "We eat in season here." And
Yep.
I was like, oh, that concept of, even though I was all about eating healthy, going to Whole Foods and different stuff like that, the whole concept of eating in season, I never even thought about it. And he was saying, he said, this is why your American people are so sick. I'm like, why? He said, because you're eating out of season. You're not eating food that was grown at a certain time. It's still alive. He said we're supposed to eat food because it's alive and it's supposed to nourish our bodies. But you eating food that been on the shelf for how long? Or that's been traveled from how many miles? They have all type of artificial stuff to keep it alive.
Happening to it. And that's a big, that's like the key part up to this whole thing. Eating in season, and also seeing too, as your body type and your ancestral body, if you know you're trying to eat in season, the best thing you can, and you know that like someone like me would probably do better down south.
Yes.
Because the things that grow in season will supplement my body better. You know what I mean? Or, you know, if you have a liking for a certain type of food and it so happens to be in New England and you go by the harvest calendar because that's what your tongue calls for, then so be it. But the miseducation of things is the harvest calendar, you know, and people get so upset when they come to the farmer's market or so upset when they go to a farm stand and they can't find what they're looking for, like bananas. Clearly, bananas don't grow here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or, you know, why can I get strawberries in December? Because it doesn't grow in September. You know, things.
I mean, you could get it with some pesticides,
right?
To survive 6 months. But
yes. And that's, you know, going back into my track record where I worked, especially at the Jewish facility. I remember I was trying to get strawberries because, you know, I'm like, oh, it's fresh. And the rabbi was like, hon, like, we're not eating this in December because strawberry season is in June. You know, that's when we're going to harvest the strawberries. And for the longest, I was like, well, I really wanted to make this strawberry X, Y, and Z. Why can't we? But then as I now fast forward into this place that I'm in, I'm like, well, I will not eat strawberries out of season. It doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? And every day I'm educating customers and folks that do come down to the market or whoever I run into and we talk about food, like, learn your harvest calendar. Once people learn their harvest calendar and wherever they are in this world, then they will make better decision in their food purchase.
Georgina, I think you got a niche right here. That there needs to be a master class on that because so many people don't know. Mm-hmm. Like I can't, and mind you, his father was an agriculturist from the U.S. and he went to Liberia and he used to sell organic fertilizer. My grandfather, if he was alive, he would be like 100 and something years old. So this is years ago. But my dad grew up on a farm and he would tell us stuff like that. But you know, sometimes when you grow up, you don't listen to your parent and you're just like, and so when I think about it, my dad used to do a lot of gardening here in the back of our house and things like that, but he's older now and he really can't. But it really wasn't until I went to Jamaica as an adult and I'm asking for some food. I'm like, I'm on this Jamaican resort. I want some okra and saltfish. And this man's looking at me like, you're going to get that here this week. And I'm upset. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. So I think whatever work you continue to do, I really think that right there, the harvest calendar could be like a webinar, could be like a master class because people don't know. And it frustrates me because I know like shopping at Whole Foods or going to the farmer's market, thank God they do have like people who are on assistance can go there, but go to the farmer's market. But for some people, they don't have the money or they're in that in-between place and they have to shop at Price Right where the apples were probably in a freezer with wax on it for like 6 months before it was served to them.
I was just about to say, and once you, for those that are watching, if you really want to learn more of like how foods, and I'm not taking away from any big businesses that are, making their money and trying to make sure that everyone eat, because there's a difference between food access and
Yes.
getting out of that food access role and just wanting to eat healthy for yourself and your family. Food access, obviously, if there's people really starving in the world, yes, they should eat. And if anything, they should eat something healthy,
Yeah.
right? But once you're out of that poor mentality or poorness and you're in another level of knowledge, just look up, food systems, food distribution routes, and type in as something simple as apples. Apples, so you should pick it from the tree, and it shouldn't be picked 3 months in advance, put in this freezer, shipped from God knows where, sit in another freezer for another couple of weeks or months, then put in another refrigerator. By the time you get the apple, it's like it's not an apple. You know what I mean? It's just this thing that just been, it hasn't lived on its roots. I always tell people, like, think about a baby, a premature baby. Mothers cry because their baby hasn't hit full term, and we're thinking about the complications that can happen before a baby hits full term, like brain development, bone structure, things like that. Think think of a premature baby that, God forbid, had these complications. That's your fruit. If you're eating a premature fruit, it does not, and it didn't live to full term, you're not getting the full nutrients and minerals that you should be getting.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's very important. Like, yeah, going to Priceway. Priceway actually carries local, and they will say when they do. And it's okay to ask the manager when they do, and they will tell you if they have it or not. A lot of people think, oh yeah, Price Right or Shop Right or wherever right is right. No, it's wrong. But they do carry local, and you just have to ask questions or read signs. Don't look at how much it costs. Look at where it's coming from.
Yeah.
We always also educating people, like, oh yeah, I go to the farmers market. It seems bougie, or it seems very expensive, and things like that. Now, depending on where you live in the world, you might have a central market where everything is fair game, or in bartering and things like that. Or you might live in an area where all of the farmers markets, because now there's become a trend, people are trying to make money. Um, do a lot of homework and research. All I can say, in the Rhode Island, New England area, even including New York, if further down outside of New England, there's so many different farmers markets, and they all have different prices. So I know in our area on the east side, that's where the high end, high price items will be. But you can find those very same things that are in season at the Broad Street Market, which there's less vendors and is half the price. So corn, if they're selling it 60 cents per
Yeah.
cob or what have you, or earn, you can get it for 15 cents at Broad Street. You know what I mean? It depends on where you go. If you want the glitz and the glams, then you go to the more posh and bougie market. If you're really just trying to purchase food, you can find the same food. And with growers, now I spoke about the difference between growers and farmers. Farmers, depending on the size of land, and X, Y, and Z, and a lot of the minority farmers are not farmers because they don't have the land to do so, but they're considered growers. The growers actually have a more, they grow organically, and
Yes.
people don't think about that, because a lot of the growers are, if they're coming from another country, they're not used to using chemicals.
Yes.
And if they did use chemicals, that's because it worked on a big farm back in their country, and they worked on the import export side of things. But most of the farmers that are coming from another
With that
country,
little mixture with the little eggshells and different stuff.
exactly, they come up with their own concoction from the earth to to grow their products, and it's all natural now. And they don't even, it's funny because I had asked one of them, I was like, oh, you're not gonna go get your organic certification? They're like, for what? You know how long organic been organic, and I'm not gonna go spend $2,000-3,000 to say I'm organic when my practice and techniques came from 15 generations.
Exactly. I
So,
remember having a conversation with at the Pawtucket Farmers Market.
mhm.
I think I was pregnant, and I remember asking one of the guys that if he had an organic certification. He said, "Let me tell you something. Um, I've been doing this for years, and our stuff is more organic than the people who have the certification that saying it's organic because it only has to be a certain percentage." So I was like, "Okay, he schooled me. All right, let's go. I'll take that." So I think it's so important, and this is a perfect topic for this week because the world lost um, an amazing doctor
Yeah.
for using food to heal your body, and that's Dr. Sebi. He is the only doctor in the U.S. Um, who was in the U.S. that won a lawsuit against I think I can't remember the state, it might have been New York State. They sued him, say he was falsely practicing medicine, but he was the only one who won a case stating that he could cure cancer. I think he did lupus, sickle cell, and some other diseases through
Mhm.
food. And he actually did it, had the studies and the things, and then they deported him out this country. And he
Yeah.
could never come back. And so this man has been healing people. And it's funny because my family and I, we were saying that next year we wanted to go to his retreat in Honduras
Yep.
because he heals people through food. Food is medicine.
Mhm.
And so this episode I'm gonna dedicate to Dr. Sebi. It's
Yeah.
perfect that it was during this time, and it's funny. People are saying why isn't it? And if y'all delete this YouTube, y'all will know. Uh, people are saying why is it the mainstream media talking about his death? And because people, I was like, I don't believe it until I see it somewhere else. And I'm in one of his food groups and on Facebook, and people were saying, listen, the mainstream media is not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you make a news report of this, guess what? People are going to be asking, who's Dr. Sebi? And they're going to find out his methods and his teaching. And that's not good for the pharmaceutical company. So I say to all my people out there who know people that are struggling with cancer or different diseases, lupus, whatever it is, at least try it. If you're willing to try the other medicine, at least try eating healthy, eating an alkaline diet, eating foods in season, eating foods that are real. Some of the stuff we eat is not real.
It's so interesting that you brought that up. And yeah, the best things are never advertised. Rolls, what is it?
Yeah.
The car Rolls Royce, you don't see it on TV. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You don't hear about Warren Buffett on TV. You just don't hear about certain things being advertised on TV. And what makes me a little upset, I would say, is they on TV, especially in the Western world, we glamorize gluttony and fast food and fatty foods, and even using the talent of a chef to create these foods. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you want to have your
Oh, yeah.
but and then when you hear about nutrition and health talk, it's kind of misleading. I don't want to say wrong, but misleading Eurocentric information to the body, which can be debated if it's right or wrong. And the honest truth is, we get distracted with so many things of what we're supposed to be doing, who we're supposed to be like, how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to do this. And we're not in tune with ourselves to just know, like, as a human being that
What
food
feels
is,
right in your body and what doesn't?
yes, food is medicine, is like a baby knows that. But we get distracted like doctors know it all. And doctors are here to heal to a certain
But
capacity.
guess what? They get paid to practice. To be very honest, I tell people doctors get paid to practice and experiment. So
Right.
here's what I tell you, and I'm not knocking doctors because I know sometimes we have to go to them. I had a cesarean. I needed a doctor in that moment. Okay? I understand it. But what we have to understand is our bodies will tell us what's going on if you pay attention to it, if we don't put the junk in it. It really does matter. Like, people say to me, "How's what? Oh, your daughter eats vegetables?" I'm like, "Yeah, because that's what we gave her." Their
Mm-hmm.
habits start from young, and that's why people. We're from an African culture, Liberian culture, and people are like, "Oh, why are you stopping that girl? Why are you not giving her meat? Our daughter eats a plant-based diet." And people get so upset with me, and I said, "No, listen. I wish somebody had gave me a plant-based diet when I was growing up, that I wouldn't
Oh
be
my
craving
gosh.
all this doggone chicken, right? Or this fish." And not saying once in a while if you want it, that's fine. But we consume, even in Liberia, people are not eating meat like going out of style.
Right.
They ate mostly fish, and it wasn't an everyday thing.
Yep.
We consume way too much, and I know we're going off a whole nother topic. We're not go off script, but we consume just way too much stuff that's not real, and way too much stuff that doesn't break down in our body.
Correct.
Sir, disease cannot live in an alkaline body. It just like it cannot thrive. It will come, it will die off.
Right.
So when we continuously eat an acidic diet, it really does mess with our system. And Georgina, I encourage you. Can you tell them about the event, and then I'm gonna close out with your number one tip that you want to give people, a quote in a book. But can you tell them about the event you have coming up, and then we'll.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So for those that are in the New England area, especially in Rhode Island, on August 18th, which is next Thursday, from 6 to 8:30, we'll be having a network called Releasing Urban Facts. Facts stands for Food Agriculture Collaborative Talk Sessions. And there'll be little hors d'oeuvres done by me, Chef G, using food that are in season by local farmers. And then also my partner who is starting this organization with me, Michelle Cruz. She's a musician. So there will be some great sounds, a live DJ set, but it's a way to network and subliminally talk about food, not just how it tastes good, but what it does for you, and also kind of start to educate our crowd on the whole urban agriculture piece of the lack of minority farmers that are in the area. So it's kind of a two-way spin. From that, we're hoping people will sign up for our programming that's happening in the fall through Unified Solutions. We will be talking about the harvest calendar. We will be talking about the history of farming and urban farming and where techniques came from. We will be dropping know your definitions, how to read your packages if you do buy packaged food. And we'll have like 6 to 10 different classes, and all of them will incorporate a cooking demo, things that you can take home and do at home. So the 18th is just the launch and kickoff for what's to come in the fall.
Awesome, awesome. Georgina, thank you so much for that. And make sure you sign up. I'm going to you'll give me the Eventbrite link, and I'll put it in
Right.
our
Yeah.
show notes so people could be able to sign up for that. So can you give us one tip that when you are feeling like down, or you're wanting to lead in your life, because we all know this leading thing is work. Every day is work. No one, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I always tell you this. Every day is work to lead in your life. Every day is work to shine bright. Don't let people's Facebook and Instagram reels make you think their life are perfect. It's perfect. Okay? So what do you use? What quote do you go to that's your go-to quote that makes you feel like, yes, I can conquer the world?
So first the tip, I wish I can show you, but in my room I'll probably just show it quickly on this wall somewhere. But I have a long list of things starting because sorry for those out there, but I do believe in God. So it
Yes.
starts with all things can happen through God who strengthens me. So
Amen.
after that, I have all of what I want to do as a reminder. It's like 5 or 6 sheets of paper, like straight down. And then the quote, my favorite quote is simple. I'm a very simple person. I don't look for the complicated things. It's just like straightforward. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. By Pell. And because every day waking up is a challenge, breathing is a challenge, walking is a challenge, thinking is a challenge. Being in certain environments, when you talk about high tier challenge, where you might be tested to speak out or to really listen to yourself and react different from the grid, or turn around and do something different from your peers. Everything is a challenge, but if you don't have a challenge, then it won't change you. So therefore, you're not growing, you're not in tune, you're not progressing. And the biggest thing that we all want to do as human beings in life is at least progress. It's funny because human beings want to progress, but the one thing we hate is change.
Yes, and you
So
can't
it's
progress without change.
yeah, you can't do. So that's my favorite quote. If it does not challenge you, then it does not change you. Once people hit, especially in this new age, me included, being a millennial, we don't like challenges. You know what I mean? We're too smart for our own good. We kind of just wanna, have it come
Get
easy
it.
and all this other stuff. But it has to challenge you. Everything does, especially if you're progressing to be the best that you can be and the best leader that you're gonna become.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And so one book that you would like to share with people that is like your go-to book, or it's like one of your favorite books, or that changed your life.
Um, yeah. Okay. So there's a few. Sorry, I know you said one, but I just gotta name three.
Oh,
One is Women, God, and Food.
okay.
Um, that one, I, I fell in love with that book because the author, she was just saying what it was. Like she was obese and always using all the diets to try to lose weight, but she needed to accept the God in her life first.
Do you remember the author?
Oh my gosh. Now I'm over here trying to look for
Message
but
me later. Message me.
but I can text it to you. That book is amazing. She has a lot of great quotes and tips, and just her story. Just her story that many women can relate to. The other book that I enjoy is Slow Food. Slow Food talks about the revolution of um, a country in Europe, I believe, yeah, Italy, and how they started the slow food revolution. And what that book taught me, besides all of like the historic value to the book, is patience. Patience of standing up for what you believe in, straight up. And now that organization became real life and has been around for more than 100 years.
Wow.
Um, and then lastly is or two. They have a movie to it now, but I prefer the book. Um, what is it? Eat, Pray,
Love.
and Love. I love the book more than the movie. It's just this woman just decided to do her own thing. You know what I mean? Like regardless if you agree to it or not, it's just she listened to herself. She found peace
I
within.
have to read it. You're like the fifth person, and then I follow her on Instagram. I love her. Eat, pray, love.
Yes. And well, there's others, but that's the main ones. That's the main ones.
Awesome, awesome. So I always tell people, readers are leaders.
Yep.
Readers are leaders. You have to read. I feel like so many people are lazy today, like to read. And I know it's hard because we have this thing right here that's the greatest and worst thing that's happened to us. Because one of the things, and this is TMI, but I'm all about, TMI. I always share too much information. But when I'm on the toilet, that's like my office. West Coast at my office, my dad cousin's office. I always would have a book with me. And now I have my cell phone because I'm checking emails, I'm doing this and that. But I'm going to go back to putting my books in my bathroom to read.
Yes.
Because that's the only time, especially as a parent.
I was just about to say that.
The only time.
Yes.
And not even now because she still busts open the door.
Right. Parents, the bathroom is like your solitude place.
I must start reading in the shower.
Serenity. Yes, the bathroom is the best.
Oh my goodness. But absolutely, you have to read. Reading changes your life. Reading inspires you. And this is why I encourage people to write too, because your story, imagine all the books that change your life, all the books that inspire you. That's someone's words, someone who decided to take the words out of their head and put it on paper. And these days it's not rocket science to publish a book. So I always encourage people to write, read and write, read and write, read and write. It's just like, it's so awesome and amazing.
Right.
And especially if you're going to read, because I know some people read, they read blogs and different things like that. That's fine, but make sure you read something that can inspire you and is aligned with where you want to go.
Yeah, and you want it in your cipher too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are reading junk nowadays and running with it. There's no resource attached to it. It's just because it looked good. You just read it and run with it. You want something that's going to fuel you up. You know what I mean? Something that's going to be in your cipher, be in your world. Something that you can share with people. You know, you want it to be in your circle. So if you're reading a lot of bad gossip or bad trash, guess what? You're filled with bad stuff. You know what I mean? And then you're not going to really hit your purpose. And sometimes too, when you're reading bad stuff, for some people it makes them feel great because they're dipping and diving into other things. But you know when you start to read the truth, because it's going to convict you, impact you, and make you uncomfortable. And then you're gonna be like, okay, something's happening within me. You're being convicted, so therefore continue to read.
Absolutely. I love it. Continue. I love that you just said that, because you're right. Some people will always pick up things that just always feel like it's the trash, or it's the stuff that just agrees with everything that they do.
Right.
Rather than pick up something that's a little different and it's going to stretch you and make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. One of my clients today, she posted on Facebook, she started live streaming, because I encourage all my people to live stream, use that social media, right? And she put that, she had a thought, and it was, and I hope I remember exactly what it is. I think she said you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
You have to get out of your comfort zone. And then I said to her, I said, you are so right. And thank you for the reminder, because you know what? Our dreams and everything we ever wanted is right outside of that comfort zone.
Right.
Is right outside of that comfort zone. So our message we're going to end on tonight is get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get outside of your comfort zone, and your dreams will be waiting right there for you. Like Georgina said, just like Elke said in our episode before, just like Amara said, I think in our third episode, they all said, when you decide to take that leap and take a chance on yourself, when you decide to lead in your life, and I'm a living testimony, when you decide to lead in your life with knees shaking and teeth chattering, it's going to be scary. But when you decide to do that, everything is going to align to make those things happen.
Exactly.
Everything is going to align to make those things happen. So I say to you tonight, go out and lead and shine bright in your life. This is concluding episode 6 of the Polished Lifestyle TV with our special guest, Georgina Sarpong. Thank you for being with us. God bless, and have an awesome, awesome week. We see you next week, Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m. Have a blessed evening.